Hey everybody, Mike Lawson here with CU Broadcast. Welcome to our webinar today, brought to you by the fine folks at Creatio. And we're going to bring on Sebastien and Jason here in a second. I'm going to bring on the slide that you guys have been seeing in emails and social media. But yeah, we're very excited to have these two gentlemen here today, talking about Engage or Flounder, the new era of member experience in Creatio. So let's bring on our guest, shall we? First up, we have Sebastien Forget. It's all French here, ladies and gentlemen, from Solutions.
It's a continuation of the Olympics. I'm joking. Yes, hi everyone. Nice meeting you.
Nice to see you, Sebastien. Thanks for being here. And then let's bring on Jason Miller from Creatio. Jason, how are you, sir?
Wonderful. Good to be here and excited to talk about a wonderful topic today that's touching all of the different credit unions all over the globe.
No doubt. A very timely one indeed. So, hey, Jason, before we get started, give folks a quick 411 on Creatio, because you are the no-code evangelist there. And we're going to talk about that title here in a second, but I want to give us a quick 411 on Creatio.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So my name is Jason Miller. I'm the chief evangelist here at Creatio. And Creatio, if you're not familiar with us, is a no-code application development platform that has over 20 vertical solutions. And specifically, we're going to be talking today about our vertical solution for credit unions and how it's really changing the way organizations drive their member experience. Now, if you've thought about the world of CRM before, right, this is kind of what we're talking about. It's how do you have that full 360-degree view of all of your member engagements, whether that's in the commercial side, in the retail side, in the lending side, wealth management side, pulling all that together to really help you better understand what you need to be doing to drive more engagement, maybe drive cross and upsell. But this is really what we do here at Creatio, and we've got a great partner here today, Sebastien Forget, who works directly with us to help credit unions of all sizes all over the Americas drive better member engagement. So, Sebastien, did I leave anything out?
Yes, no, that's perfect. But you're absolutely right. So Creatio is a fantastic platform on which there's a CRM. So we help on two sides. First, on the technology side, and as well on the consulting side, right? Which process should we bring in the Creatio platform? What are the customer facing? How do my loan people should use the branch managers, the tellers, the frontline people, how they can leverage this technology. So that's how we help them to make sure that it's cohesive within the credit union. And as well, we build it. It's part of a digital transformation overarching theme, and we help them in the way of getting into this roadmap. So without further ado, I'll share my screen.
All right, guys. All right. Hey, while you're sharing your screen, Sebastien,
yes,
I've got to talk to Jason about his no-code evangelist title. I got to know more. Inquiring minds want to know more what this is all about.
And so when we think about all of the different things that no-code has the capability to do for organizations, Sebastien mentioned, it's about transformation. It's about this next era of application development. Now, I'm lucky enough to be the lead evangelist here at Creatio, and what all of us do from a solutions consulting standpoint is help organizations truly understand how technology is changing and how it impacts the day-to-day lives of not only your employees, but also your members. So I'm just lucky enough to be in a position where I get to help organizations understand this. But there's an amazing team behind the scenes that really is the horsepower that's created this amazing platform that we get to talk to you about today.
Good deal, good deal. And once again, Sebastien, before Sebastien shares his screen, if you guys have any questions or anything like that, put them in the chat, and then we will get to them. We'll have a few minutes afterward for a quick Q&A session. But if we can't get to you and we go the full length, then we will get to you via email. We'll get to you with some answers, responses from these two fine gentlemen. So with that said, Sebastien, do you want to share your screen?
Absolutely.
And the stage is all yours, gents, as we talk about Engage or Flounder, the new era of member experience in credit unions.
Perfect. So, thank you. Excellent.
I'll bring it up here.
We went through some introductions. So the agenda we have for today. So first, we're going to talk about member engagement. Then we're going to talk about how the technology can be the catalyst to support those initiatives, data-driven strategies as well, the multi-channel communication. How do we build trust and security? Because when we talk about lots of data and information that will flow through different systems, security is always a point of concern, and what are the future trends and challenges that credit union face today. So first and foremost, member engagement. So that's a very important one. So let's just talk about the importance to the credit union sector. There's an evolution that happened in terms of relation with the member. There's been a shift from a branch engagement to a digital engagement. Credit unions, the one we're working with, are fantastic in the relationship when people are at the branch and their member are at the branch. And they really care about their member. It's a member-centric approach, 10 on 10. Everything's fantastic. When this type of engagement goes on a digital way, it takes some different approaches, different initiatives, same strategy, but different tactics. And this is where we help. And this is the shift that is happening right now with the credit union. And even furthermore, when we talk about the new generations, right? Because me and Jason, when we talk with credit union, we always, we see their average depositors are 60 years old, and they're concerned about the transfer of wealth that will be happening in the next 7 to 10 years, which is about $7 trillion for credit unions. So what's going to happen with this new generation? They don't want to come that much to the branch. I'm not saying they never want to come to the branch, but they want to be able to be more online, digital, with tools and application and online banking. And so if that rapport is not in the branch, what's going to happen? How do we going to maintain this relationship? So that's really foundational for the conversation of today, because this is what we're going to talk about, how Solution Metrix and Creatio, we can help you build this. We can help you in this new era of relationship with your member, how we can help you and support you. So that's really the theme of this presentation. And maybe Jason, if you want to talk about what you've seen as well for credit union regarding
member. I think you've mentioned it, right? It's this shift. A lot of times organizations have always thought about the view that I have is transaction, right? It's the information that I have in my core, right? Or it's the information that I have in my loan origination system. It's those individual touch points, but never a holistic view of it. And what we're going to talk about here in the next couple of slides is really the demands that consumers are having on our credit unions that's really changing the way we have to think about it. Instead of thinking of our core as what we put on those transactions, what we put all of our views around, putting that member at the center of everything we do, pulling all of the information together to build that holistic view and drive better engagement. So with that being said, Seb, let's move on to the next slide. And I think you're going to kind of start to understand this, folks, when we think about how all of this ties together. Seb.
That's correct. Because credit unions, they typically have lots of data around their member. You're right. Some from the core system, core banking, LOSs, online banking, card system, so forth and so on. They have family, household, member segment, transaction behaviors, digital engagement, age, demographic, product utilization, the member tenure, their credit score. So all sorts of data resides in multiple systems, right? You mentioned the core. For sure, it's important. Lots of member data is there, what type of shares they're having, other members, type of accounts product, secondary products, so forth and so on. But if we look at it from a member point of view, right? So what are the members are expecting today? So what they expect is, who I am. Give me relevant offer, right? Give me right product recommendation. Understand my challenge and give me a consistent experience. And what Creatio and Solution Metrix help you do is bring all of this data, funnel it in a platform with process, workflows, screen UI. We're going to talk all about this, but so you can deliver this experience to the member. So we break the silos of data, we put the right architecture in place, to help you deliver a consistent experience for members. And that craft a way to the Gen Y, Gen Z, and Gen Y, Gen Z engagement as well, and be able to see the members and engage with them with a different sets of lenses. Maybe Jason.
Seb, you mentioned it earlier in the broadcast, is that times are changing, right? I remember, I'm going to date us a little bit. I remember that when I was first engaged with my credit union, or even when I was in the military engaged with Navy Fed, all of my transactions were in person, right? I always had to go to a branch. I had to physically fill out a piece of paperwork. The expectation today is completely different. Organizations have to adapt to, like you said, the changing demands from a digital era, but also the consumer change in kind of conscience. They no longer want to have to physically move to do things. They expect that their credit union branch is at their fingertips on their phone, right? So how do we as credit unions better engage with those folks? Not only personally, right, with personalization, but in the time that they want, in the manner that they want, and do it in a manner that is ultimately respectful of what they're trying to accomplish and when they're trying to accomplish it. This is a complete change. And I think most of the folks that are listening today have probably felt that already. But if you haven't, it's coming, right? And I think that if anybody thinks it's not coming, I would challenge. Look at some of the largest credit unions in the world. They have completely transformed the way that they're engaging. That's what's driving growth, because they're able to reach out and expand by attracting these new members. So we're going to talk a little bit more about how the solution and the approach that Creatio and Solutions Metrix take. We're going to talk about how this applies and how it can really benefit some of the organizations that we maybe have listening today.
Absolutely. And it's a good transition to how do we leverage the technology. And it redefines really the engagement. Because most of you who's probably looking at that and hearing what we're saying say, for sure, it's like, it's a trivial thing, right? The members evolve and the way we interact with them is we're siloed. We have multiple systems, and our MSRs and our call center people struggle sometimes to get this picture. And a member can walk to a branch, get offered a credit card, then a week later walk into another branch and get offered the same credit card while he said no 1 or 2 times already. So that consistency of experience is there. Now, what you're probably also asking yourself is, okay, how do my organization and my credit union can embark on this journey, right? And how can we leverage the best practices out there to be able to do everything you're saying? So here, what we're saying is first, there's some fintech and there's some technology like Creatio that we Creatio being the foundation and the platform that is the foundation for this digital transformation. And as well, there's some fintech out there as well that continue this journey of engagement through digitalization. But another thing as well that sometime when we're working with credit union, they don't foresee at first is how excellent the operational efficiency can be. Because once you bring all those systems into a platform like Creatio, you not only have the member 360 and all the information, you also give your personnel and your member and employees a fantastic platform to work with. While you break the silos on the data, you break the silos on the workflow and the business process as well. So yes, an MSR or a branch manager or teller can see, oh, you applied for a loan, a personal loan. We're still missing your pay stub. So you're in front of me. Can I take a picture? Can you take a picture and upload that right away? Because, instead of you scanning it. So this sharing of information, this sharing of process and how we collaborate all together within the credit union has a fantastic effect as well. And this free times of people who do lot and tons of manual work was I was at one of our proud partner Monday, yesterday or 2 days ago, and we were talking with the mortgage people, and the processor. They go through 5 different systems before they can actually build this consistency experience with a member. They do credit score, and then they go to another platform for document management, and then they go back with the underwriting and another, and then they have to do the liaison, the title, and it's crazy. While a platform like Creatio is more than just an internal an internal CRM for relationship management, it's also an operational efficiency platform. And I know as an evangelist, Jason, one of your proud of the Creatio platform is about this business process management, right?
Yeah, and you named it. It's the biggest challenge that I think organizations face globally, and we're talking about it in the scope of credit unions today, but it's all organizations. How do I modernize and take all of these manual processes that I've got and tie not only the digital systems that I have, but how do I tie it all together from an efficient work perspective, right? And this is what Creatio helps do. It helps not only pull that information together from all these different data sources, but it helps you manage them more effectively through digital process automation. Now, we're not going to spend a ton of time talking about that today. That's a conversation that we can have, one-on-one with you later. But the most important thing is to think about all of those times where, maybe someone that's sitting in a branch, it has to make a phone call and call somebody in lending, or somebody has to call somebody from another branch to check on something, right? Every time that you think about these manual steps that take place, think about how much better it would be if these were automated, how much better it would be if these followed a digital process versus this manual process that maybe you're dealing with today. This is exactly what we're talking about.
Absolutely, and it's a very important point. For sure, we will discuss. We'll be pleased to discuss and give you practical example of everything. Because credit unions are sometimes in a state where they say, okay, we want to do this digital transformation. We don't believe we have the resources. We don't believe we have the skill set. We don't believe we have the budget, the timeline, and what it takes to actually start this journey. Well, you mentioned it very well, Jason. It's coming. So it's not like that's why we say, either engage or flounder, because it will be more difficult if we're not having those type of initiatives within the credit union. And when you look at most of the annual reports of the credit union and their strategic 3 or 5 year plan, member experience is always there, sustainable growth, operational efficiencies. So all of those points and strategic objectives, Creatio provide really good tactics to achieve those. And operational efficiency, it also means that we free internally time of people so they can spend more of their days engaging with member. And third point is, when we speak about the member 360, most of us sees it, okay, perfect, I'm going to have my LOS informations and my core banking and card systems and maybe I have a survey system, marketing will be here and there as well, so I can see if they open email or not. But it goes as well to digital engagement. And the funny thing is, sometime at the beginning of our journey with the credit union, when we start working with them, we say, okay, let's all agree on what's an active member, right? And an active member, most often in the definition is they use their online tool, right? They have done an online deposit or took a picture of a check and used or used Zelle or something along those lines. So the engagement goes beyond just the traditional engagement. It's also digital. Have they came to the website? Have they logged to their online banking? So that's also the definition of active member, and it's part now of this 360, and it help you build this personalized engagement to be more relevant.
Seb, you just mentioned something, and I think it's a nice little segue into the next topic, which is, how are people thinking about members being engaged? And I think a lot of times they think of it as, a transaction has taken place, right? They're following the data, and we're going to talk about data next, but they're looking at someone made a online, a mobile deposit, or somebody used Zelle or something like that. I think a lot of times organizations miss the bigger picture, right? Because again, they're going back to that transactional view of things versus the holistic member view. So I think as we move to the next topic and we think about this kind of digital engagement, digital view of the world versus the holistic view, I think it may make a little bit more sense. So maybe we can kind of talk about the next topic.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jason. So the data-driven strategies, very, very important. And we'll talk a little more in details, but first there's big data, and for those who don't know what big data is, it's you have the data you have from your various systems. This data builds your 360, and more than just the 360, we have tons of information left and right. And some of the information is internal, coming from your system, or external. An example would be pull a credit report. So I'm pulling a credit report. On the credit report, we see that this member or potential member, if it's either a direct or an indirect new member or someone in the process of becoming a member, has a credit card with Wells Fargo. So once he's going to become a member, that Wells Fargo credit card he has that we know of because it's on the credit report will be as something we can speak about the member in Creatio, right? So the big data approach is I'm having my data, and there's also tons of data that exists out there, so I can leverage that to really tailor the approach and the solution that we can suggest, and on the product side as well. And on the analytics side, right? So we talked about CRM already. At some point, the CRM become an experience hub. So see the platform as, yes, typical CRM. I have my member, and I can see the household of the member, all the various information that comes from different systems, organized in a very user-friendly way. So now I have but I have this picture, but at some point it's also, when you add different workflows and automation, it becomes an experience hub. So an example would be they call center, and they wanted a preferred rate for one of their product, right? So that workflow of approval and what needs to be done when they ask for a preferred rate, or a credit card fee dispute, or a change of power of attorney, and all those things that credit unions are doing, help the member experience as well. So it becomes more than just a CRM; it becomes an experience hub. And I know Jason will talk about this, but there's also predictive models. So Creatio has an AI built in, which is also, I call it the safe AI. It doesn't send your member data on the cloud left and right, and that's very, it's the data is protected and stays within Creatio, doesn't go on the cloud, and everywhere, and Google and everyone sees, and all the AI that's out there sees your member data. But there's predictive model as well. So an obvious one, and I'll let you speak about it, Jason, is next best product or next best offer.
Yeah, and you nailed two things that I wanted to make sure that everybody understood. Was having the data straight, understanding what the data means, and being able to use it in a functional manner. This is what that experience hub really turns into, right? So not only do you have the data, it's visual, and you can start doing things with it. And one of the things that you mentioned, I think, is a really important thing, which is take that information and get recommendations, right? There's whether it's next best action, next best product, or next best offer, right? Or maybe it's even doing things like helping avoid member churn, right? Starting to see trends in member behavior that would indicate, maybe they're going somewhere else. Being able to analyze down through your core data and say, I noticed that every month this member is making a payment that goes outbound for an auto loan, maybe with GM or something. Maybe I should be making a recommendation to help them refinance that loan. right? Having these types of things all visible in one place and letting the tools, and as Seb mentioned, right, a traditional AI, not generative AI, traditional AI, these predictive models and machine learning help make those recommendations and get it to the forefront without having to spend days and days and days of drilling through the data. Having the system, put it right there in front of you and be able to say, hey, next time you talk to this member, here's a little red flag up in the corner. Let's ask them about this, right? Or let's offer them that. And then this is what starts to drive that omni-channel communication, right? Because that next touch point might be in person in a branch, maybe on the phone through a contact center. It might be at an event, right? Maybe they show up at an auto show, right, where your credit union's out there. You never know what those points are. So having that information readily available for all of those relevant people to see is extremely important. And this is what we're talking about, trying to take all of that data and make it engaging.
Excellent. And I'm going to give 3 practical examples here. First is you refer to the dormancy, right? So this is where Creatio can look at the behavior and say, okay, those based on the behavior looks like it's becoming a dormancy, so we have dormancy workflow, a dormant member. It looks like it's going to become a dormant member. So there's engagement plans that can come into play. Another one will be onboarding, member onboarding. So we typically credit union have an onboarding template, and it can be a little more personalized based on the persona they have, because that's something as well that Creatio has. Is it a small business owner? Is it a young family? So those personas are in Creatio so to help personalize the experience. So the onboarding can be tailored and predict, help you select the right onboarding. And another one, the third one is, credit union typically have good rates for car loans, and as an example, so they'll get a new member based on a first car loan. So what are the engagement plan to bring the whole banking to the credit union? So joint account, so there's promotion that can go and say, okay, if you, for example, open a joint account, you'll get a rebate on, or a half a quarter or half of a point on your loan, and that credit card that we've seen during the when we pull the credit report, there's some help and automation that emanates from this artificial intelligence algorithms that are built in within the Creatio platform to help.
Seb, you just brought up a really interesting point. I'd like to see a little engagement from the folks that we have on the stream right now, if you're willing. How many of you are gaining indirect members through car loans? I would love to know, because we find this to be a very interesting touch point where organizations sometimes say, hey, look, we either got out of the indirect business because it wasn't profitable, because we couldn't convert those into full members. They stayed as, just those indirect members that only did their car loan. What Seb's talking about is how do you turn that very low margin or very tight business into a revenue factory? How do you start driving better engagements with them to be able to grow that business? And Creatio and Solutions Metrix have got all sorts of great success stories where we've helped credit unions with this exact thing. It's one of our favorite topics because we know that organizations tend to struggle with those indirect members. But anyways, I'd love to see some folks in the chat, maybe if you're doing it, we'd love to talk to you about it, because it is an area that I think organizations can really help get better at.
Sure.
Yeah, feel free to let us know in the chat, guys. I have something that I want to put in the chat as well as something I learned a couple of years ago. Is to credit unions, to members, show me that you know me. And so I think this is where these predictive models can really come in handy. Here, Travis says we are currently having these types of conversations and struggles as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Very, very common, Travis. Don't feel like you're on an island by yourself. We see it all of the time. And it's what's unique, or what's not unique about it is the fact that everybody seems to have that same thing. We know that there's potential with this business, right? That's why we offer these car loans. But we have to do a better job holistically in converting them into full members. And this is exactly what Seb and I are talking about today, is how do you do that? You have to have the data. You have to have this engagement plan, and you have to be able to have the tools to engage these folks where they are, when they want to be there, And this is actually a really good segue into our next topic, which is around multi-channel communication, right? And starting to deal with, what do I send them? When do I send it to them? What's going to drive engagement? How do I track that?
Absolutely, right on. And this consistent member experience. And don't forget, when we're saying that, Jason, I know some folks can say, okay, we don't have time to do that. We're going to free your time. Instead of doing, I would say, some mundane task or clerical tasks, you'll be working doing this type of engagement. So being the frontline staff or the contact center, MSRs, and everyone will collaborate. They will be more efficient. That's our promise to you, to be able to give that consistent member experience. So you know your member not only from a traditional point of view, but from a digital point of view as well. And the omnichannel experience is super important. And we'll give some example here, but what we mean by omnichannel is I'm speaking with the contact center through a phone call. I'm going on an online chat. I'm interacting by email. I'm walking to the branch and speaking to sometime the branch manager and or the teller and or a service rep. It's depend whatever the channel is and the department it's with. Can it be the mortgage people, the personal loan, on the business side as well, or the retail side? It's important to channel those communication from various channels, hence the omni-channel, to make sure you know your member and you have those touch points. And we want to make the experience being seamless, whatever platform or device or their channel, their preferred channel, to bring that consistency. So an example of omnichannel, okay? Talking about personal loan, one of the step was to get a pay stub and some other documents. So I want the member on the phone, and I said, okay, I need those documents, and then instead of sending an email, they need to scan. And we have a tool where we say, okay, do you have your phone close to you? Yes. And I'm speaking, okay? And then perfect, I'm going to send you a chat. And in that chat, just take a picture of your pay stub and other documents, right, that we need, for example. And that's it. So the member's on the phone, okay, I just received your chat, wait a minute, take the phone, take the picture of pay stub, and it's uploaded, and everyone saves time. Member experience is great. So this is when we say omni-channel, operational efficiency, consistent member experience. So those are all embedded together in our point of view. And yes, you need a platform more than just a CRM. So that's what's kind of quote unquote special with Creatio. It's a CRM for better member engagement, but we are very aware that in order to give that experience, you need a platform that articulate all those workflows and automation tailored to the best practices of the industry. So that's really what we are working with the credit union. And Jason, I know you have tons of examples as well for consistent members.
Yeah. And I'm not going to be limiting this. I think we covered most of the main points here. But number one thing is, when we especially think about this change in the consumer profile, right? Being able to engage them on any platform, on any device, at any time, right? This is what members are demanding from organizations. So whether it's WhatsApp, text message, Facebook Instant Messenger, maybe it's via Instagram message, it's on a phone call, it's via email. We need to have these capabilities within our organizations to make sure that we can meet them where they are and where they want to be. And every organization has different member profiles. But the one thing that is always consistent is the more often we can engage our members where they are and where they want to be, the more often that we're going to drive better engagements, more successful engagements, and being able to drive, either additional wallet share or additional deposits with that member to ultimately help grow. And I think that's everybody's goal as we're on today's call. So that was the only other piece I wanted to add.
Perfect. Excellent. Thank you, Jason. And when we say that, it's for the day-to-day operation, and it's for more other community initiatives. So for example, I was at an event, it's Credit Union for Kids, and we were doing some financial literacy, and a platform like Creatio can help you say, okay, those member, their credit score is, and they got denied for some applications, so they can be part of financial literacy initiative and other community initiative as well. So we're both on the spectrum. Building trust and security. So and we want to talk about it because the members, as any of us here as a consumer of other, right, talking about the Amazons and all those platforms out there, can be worried what you're going to do and what you're going to do with my data. How do you protect my data? How do I make sure because they will start to see, okay, they've seen I went to the website, I'm using the online app, and then I was engaged with a contact center, so the teller is asking me about things I was doing online. So they are gathering my data. So, and they are doing, some initiatives with it. So what are the some of the things we see to make sure that the members are in a good spot with that? So there's enhanced security protocols as trust builders as well, making sure that and when we connect all those systems and we put a system architecture that will, get data in and out, we're aware of all the various protocols and security norms that there's there, and the various certification that both organization has. And we're always, and our most successful credit unions partners that are doing this are very transparent in what type of data they're going to use, and they position it as, I want to help I want to help you as a member. I want to deliver extraordinary member experience. So hence why I'm going to be using in terms of data to help me help you. To show me you know me, I need to know you. And in order to know you, I need to look at all the interactions from in-branch to digital that you're doing with me. Compliance and reliability is also something that the platform has, and we put in place in the way we integrate the various systems. And here I'm gonna just add some color to the no-code aspect. So we talked about, and my friend Jason is a no-code evangelist. So what the no-code enables as well is, as we're doing all of this, and especially on the security side, you don't need to be a data scientist or a very high skill developer to do that. The platform has the robustness it needs, both on personalization, customizations, but as well on the integration and security part and security aspect. And maybe Jason, you can talk about the various certification and how strong is Creatio in being recognized by the largest global organizations out there and customers.
Yeah, I mean, there's just from an information security standpoint, obviously all of the SOC 2 Type 2 and all the other kind of InfoSec things that you would expect Creatio's there. But I think one of the most important things that I want to point out is when we do talk about this world of no code, Forrester recently, we didn't put the slide in today, but we can talk about it. Forrester recently put out a report that put Creatio as the only leader in this space, ahead of Microsoft and ahead of other platforms that are working in this space, for one in particular reason. It's our ability to govern and manage and maintain and support both the business and IT organizations in properly maintaining and governing the applications and everything that's going on within the platform. This is extremely important. For those folks that are out there that are using Microsoft, maybe you're trying to do automation with something like Power Apps today, or with Microsoft Dynamics, right? The number one reason that Creatio is a leader in this space and Microsoft is not, is the ability to manage that platform, the ability to expand just past everything that's going on within the Office 365 suite. And if you go look at some of the other players in the space, they don't even have the ability to kind of interact with many of the common systems that you do. This is where Creatio really shines. Being able to have an open platform that can engage with all of the systems that you have in place. We haven't met a financial product yet that we haven't been able to interact with. And that's because of our great partnerships with folks like Sebastien and his team at Solutions Metrix, as well as our technology partners like Sandbox Banking and others that really are the industry leaders in helping financial service organizations like yourselves get the information out of wherever it sits and make it real. Doing it in a secure fashion, managing it, governing it, and ultimately providing all of that transparency, as Sebastien mentioned, to your internal stakeholders as well as to your members. So I think that's the most important thing, is that it's all out there. Anybody should be able to do it, but Creatio was the only recognized leader by Forrester in their most recent report.
Excellent, and it's a good segue to the next topic. So we're going to talk about the future, but this is where the no code is really important. Also, the component of creation and why it's so different, as Forrester indicated in the report. We understand that everything we said today will not be done in 6 weeks. Okay, it's a transformation, it's a journey, but there's stage into that journey as well, and we foresee that digital transformation maturity happen in 4 dimensions. First is on the strategic side, all right? And then you have ad hoc, basic, manage, and optimize. So on the strategic side, right, you need first, as you're starting, you'll get more and more aligned internally on what this is, and then on the functional side, the organizational side, and then you're aligned and optimized. It's part of your credit union strategy to say, okay, we need to embrace this transformation for the obvious reasons that member experience is evolving. Then on the people side, because you can have a great strategy, great books, and a great communication plan, but change management needs to happen. We love working with credit union. We understand that. I don't know, I'm saying that the average tenure is 20 years. Our people who are interacting, they've been working 10 years, 20 years, 25 years, 30 years, 7 years with the credit union. So the people need to be included in that digital transformation strategy. And how you're going to make the change management, because the no-code aspect is the business users and the team leads at the credit union will be able to evolve those workflows and process. So this is not, and it's very different, because credit union used to buy point solution. So I need to do loans, I'm buying a loan origination system. And then the vendor will train me, and once I'm trained, thank you, okay? This is different. The experience here is different. It's okay, we're gonna do a roadmap together. The platform will adapt to where you are, depending on where in the journey, depending on the maturity and the pace you want to go. Solution Metrix will help you embrace that change and build some self-sufficiency. So with Creatio, once you want to evolve some workflows or automations and screens and report dashboard, role, security, you don't need to call us all the time. And I know some of those core systems provider, the experience is not, I don't want to name them, but not great. This is not the type of experience you have. We're partners. So that's why Creatio as well says, you know what, the credit unions, they need that advising, consulting. They need to be advised on what should be my next step. How should I do this with a platform like Creatio? Because you have an enormous capabilities. So We're going together to help the credit union, and we help you going through that transformation. And so there's there's strategy, people, size, process as well. The process will evolve. The day one will absolutely not be the same as you're going to be maturing in that journey. And then on the technology side as well, technology, it will continue to evolve. You take and pick a platform like Creatio, who will evolve as well, but your full ecosystems of different systems will also evolve. And then we, in the maturity, help you, okay, how BI fits in this, how the data warehouse fits in this, and AI is somewhere on the roadmap, right? Is it not all credit unions are doing it? We talked about some predictive stuff, but there's even more thing that's going to happen on the artificial intelligence, that is for sure. Now, when is it? 2025, 2026, 2027, when some of the credit union, it will be will happen, but it will happen. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. So we help you build, and we're conscious, and what we want to say here is we understand it's a journey. We understand it takes some steps. You need to be advised, recommended, supported, consulted on what the different aspect, being it strategy, people, process, and the technology. And our solution, Metrix and Creatio, is the same. Yes, there's a commercial aspect while we engage with credit union. You'll buy the product and from Creatio, and then they will have a sell, and they will invoice and they get the money. The money is one aspect, but our real pay here is once we have our customers being managed and optimized. That's our real pay. That's the real gratification of why we're doing this. Is we say, okay, the industry as a whole is going through a transformation. It's very important that we help the community going through that transformation. And when they are succeeding and when they're at that stage, this is where we have an extra smile on our face, and we're super happy, we care. And then we also, the credit unions industry and our people are super inclined to share the best practices they have. So we connect credit unions together. So we'll get the optimized credit union talk with an ad hoc or basic stage when they're starting. They say, tell me what you've done with this or that, and how do you tackle this, and what's been your experience with that. So that's also part. So before we talk about future and trends, and we understand that what we spoke today and what we're be concluding with, it's part of there's some maturity that will happen with time. So we say.
Seb, I know we've only got about 5 minutes or so here, and we've got a couple of things that we want to cover, but you nailed a couple of things. Staying ahead of this is more than just buying the next greatest thing. It's about having that plan, that strategy that you talked about, right? It's understanding how technology has changed over time. And whether it's blockchain, it's AI, right? You need to think strategically about how you want to transform your business. I want to take people on this journey for just a second, right? We're at this. Some people are calling it the 5th generation of technology. We think of it as just that next era of application development. But if you go back, how many of you have done, have worked? And we talked about folks being in credit unions for 20 plus years. Remember when everything was on a single mainframe, right? It was slow. It took forever to make changes, right? Now that was fine because back then that was just the way we did business. That's why, as Seb mentioned earlier, right? People started buying all of these point solutions. You ended up with these off-the-shelf solutions, but then you had to change the business to align to that. But even still, if you wanted to customize around that, it would still take you 12, 18 months to make these changes. What we're talking about here, we're talking about the ability to have technology now that we're here, that changes at the pace of business. As your needs change, having technology that can change at that same rate, empowering your organization to be able to keep up with that changing demand, giving you the technology that allows you to adapt. For anybody who the military, right? Adapt and overcome, right? It's the key thing, which is I see a change in consumer behavior. I see a change in how my members are trying to be engaged, and see a change in the products that we need to be offering them. Mm-hmm. How do we do that? And this is the competitive landscape. And this is what Creatio and Solutions Metrix are helping credit unions do, to stay ahead of this changing landscape. It is ultimately the number one thing that I hear from organizations all the time, which is I always feel like I'm behind because I thought about this, I didn't have time, I didn't have budget, or we said it was going to take too long.
Yep.
We're trying to change that mindset, and we're hoping that through a conversation like we're having today, we're opening up that idea in your mind that you don't have to think about it the same way that we even thought about it 2 or 3 years ago. This is the most exciting thing. And Seb and I were talking kind of backstage before we got on today. If I was to tell you that our average implementation time, from the time that we've kind of got those requirements figured out to the time that you're actually using a new system, is only 3 months, 4 months, 12 to 16 weeks. Most of you would say that's not possible because your experience in the past has said it takes 12 months, 18 months.
Oh, wow.
This is normal, right? For anybody who's ever worked with Salesforce, I know that's kind of an interesting word, right? Great system in that commercial off-the-shelf time frame, right? But it's not. We're in this new era now, and this is what's changing. So, Seb, I know you've got some thoughts there.
Absolutely, and I'm passionate about this. I could go for another hour, but on the implementation side, because that's a very important aspect for us. And yes, because here it's not a point solution; it's a platform, so we can start recovering some ROI and start benefiting the members after 4 months. It could be just connecting. We're not going to have the full 360. Maybe on phase 1, it's going to be 270 degree, not the full 360, but still. You're going to be starting in a mindset of innovation, and you can have part of the functionality, not everything we said today, but just tackle what's really problematic for you in a phase 1 in this approach where you start to see, and what I call it the flywheel of innovation. So we want this flywheel of innovation to start to spin, and then you say, okay, I can do this, and then I understand. Instead of doing this manual process, we have this platform, Creatio. Let's speak with Solution Metrix and Creatio. Can we do this? Yeah, you can do that. And then we train some of your users, and they configure and they help, and then the magic happens, right? So that's why we don't want to wait like a year before, because it's not a one-time solution that we implement. It's a mindset. It's a culture of innovation that you're also adhering with when you embark with Creatio and Solution Metrix. And just to conclude, because I know it's really in line with what we just said, branch experience digitally delivered. So there's 4 pillars that we work with you in that. And you should be seeing those projects like this. First, there's a data part, right? A single system of system for of truth, and see your different approach to break the silos and make data decision making as well. So there's a data component. There's a CRM component, which is the member experience, member 360, collaboration, and leveraging all the capabilities that there is around CRM. But there's an operational efficiency that's really important as well. So you optimize the workflow, automation, so forth and so on. So data, CRM, operational efficiency, and then there's the outcome, right? Attracting next gen member and more relevant marketing member experience that gets. So it's like you need those 3 components: data, CRM, operational efficiency. And then we build the outcome. So we craft this journey, and that's how you should be doing it in your strategic plan. It's okay, what we're going to do with our data, what we're going to do in terms of CRM, how do we going to get our people more efficient, and then this digital transformation in an innovation mindset, and the innovation flywheel start to spin while knowing it's a journey. It's not, and rapidly we can get something live that users can start to leverage and the people, but it's a journey.
Seb, it's funny, and as we wrap up here, I think it's very interesting. I want to ask you a question. We've been doing this for a while, right? And
Yes.
You and I have been working together for several years, and it never ceases to amaze me. Every time we go talk to a new credit union, the story's always very similar. I think the thing that I'm hearing though is the pain is becoming more urgent. it's becoming more real, right? There's more competition in the market, whether it's from the banks, the neos, the fintechs, whatever. Do you agree with this? I mean, that's what I see and what I hear from organizations. Do you see it the same way? And if so, what do you think that the number one question that people need to be thinking about in their mind is to try to start this flywheel of innovation?
And the first thing I believe they need, because I would say they're cognizant of that fact. So what we're saying today is probably not new to the credit union, your members and Gen Y, Gen Z transfer of wealth. That's for sure. They're scared. They don't know where to start. They don't know how to budget this. They don't know what their operation will look like after this, because there's a lot of change. So so where to start is to be curious about it and to see the best practices. Look at what others have done, because you said it during this webinar, you're not alone out there. Everyone is going through the same journey, right? And yes, it's not something that you need to be 10 billion in assets to be able to do. It's true. We have, guys that are 150, 200 million in assets under management that can start those initiatives and anything in between, right? So it's the first will be talk about it, see what's out there, look at what others have done to get away the scariness of that. Say, okay, we're gonna be so different in 3-4 years from now, because you need to be different. But what this journey will look like, it could be scary. Could be scary.
Yeah, and I think that's the final point that I want to leave with everybody, which is don't think about things the way that we've always thought about it over the last 15, 20 years. Technology's evolved. The way we can solve problems has evolved. No longer does it need to be these painful, 2, 3, 4 year cycles. We can solve problems that organizations are facing today in a very rapid fashion. But as Seb mentioned, it's about starting the conversation.
Yep.
Understanding that, yes, I have an opportunity to be successful and I want to be successful. Because I think the one thing that we'd all agree on is, as we're wrapping up today, is stagnation is a recipe for disaster.
No doubt.
It's how do we move that ball forward? And that's what Creatio and Solutions Metrix are here to do. Seb, I'll leave the final word to you, but as we wrap up here, I want to say thank you to you and thank you to our host today, because this is truly an honor to be able to come in front of such an esteemed group, to be able to talk about how Creatio and Solutions Metrix are really helping drive better engagements and helping organizations not flounder and helping them achieve the successes that they're doing. So from my standpoint and from Creatio, thank you both for your participation today.
Thank you as well. We really care about the credit union industry as a whole, and I think it's something that we need in our economy, and each time we can help and contribute in some way, we do. So thank you everyone for being there, and thank you Mike, thank you Jason. So it was really a pleasure.
Indeed, yeah, I like that final thought, Jason's. Like, being complacent is not a successful strategy, especially in today's world. So, and you guys are right there at the tip of the spear for sure, doing all this type of stuff. So yeah, thank you so much, guys. I appreciate your time, your expertise, and your insights. Second to none here for sure. And if anybody has any questions, we'll put a contact link in the show notes when I post the replay a little bit later today, so you guys can get to these two fine gentlemen and inquire further about what we talked about today. And also, if you missed part of this episode, part of the webinar, or if you know somebody who couldn't make it, we're going to have a replay posted later today as well. So yeah, but on that note, gentlemen, thank you so much once again for your expertise, the fine folks at Creatio and Solutions Metrix. Let's not leave those folks out. And yes, and we hope you guys gain some practical knowledge and some great steps to get going in this area if you're not already. And again, good luck. And again, thank you so much for attending and participating today. Travis, thank you for participating. We might be sending you a Starbucks gift card for your participation. How about that? So we like these interactive. So, all right, guys, thanks again. Appreciate it. That was a lot of fun. Well done.
Thank you.